Kumul Telikom Chairman explains moves to build a stronger company. Women in business look to benefits after APEC. And PNG Telcos challenge to empower people through affordable services.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for the news this Thursday. Discussions have been underway for a while now to amalgamate all state-owned communication enterprises under the newly established Kumul Telikom. The move is seen as a way to curb wasteful spending and to build a single, more competitive and service-oriented entity. In an exclusive interview with MTV's Business PNG, Kumul Telikom Chairman Andrew Johnson said the merger should be completed by this time next year.
The merger of the state-owned communication companies is being done to stop the deteriorating financial position of the companies. According to Chairman Andrew Johnson, Kumul Telikom aims to develop communication services that are affordable and reliable for Papua New Guineans across the country in both rural and urban settings. If the merger is successful, the communication companies will work in unison instead of competing amongst themselves, providing a better chance of growing the companies.
And the government has got to recognise that the right, and very rightly so, the right move is to build them together to make a single strong telco with a retail fixed, a retail mobile and a wholesale business, which is existing Dataco. It's a very sound move. So think about it really as a restoration of an integrated, strong national service company rather than a bringing together of what sort of companies that don't really fit.
Johnson predicts the merger will be complete by this time next year.
When will it get done? It needs to be fully in place by this time next year. Okay. Being a little bit careful with APEC. I don't want to do anything too tricky before APEC because it's absolutely critically important that Kumul is a showcase for the country at APEC.
In addition to this, the company is concluding discussions this month about the highly anticipated undersea fibre optic cable connecting Australia to Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands.
A new submarine cable that will come from Sydney, split to Honiara in the Solomons, where, by the way, we also own a very strong mobile network, and into Port Moresby. To put that into context, it's a massive cable, the biggest cable out of Australia, Southern Cross, which links Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, the west coast of the States, is about 6 terabits. This is a 20 terabit cable. This is probably the best cable I've ever seen, and my business is telecommunication.
Leanne Jarari, National EMTV News.
Madang MP Brian Kremer has withdrawn the application to prevent the National Information Communication and Technology Authority from deactivating SIM cards. Mr. Kremer had sought a temporary court order on the 30th of April to prevent the deactivation exercise, which was set to start on May the 1st. But the 14 days temporary stay order had lapsed on the 16th, and Mr. Kremer had failed to file another court document to extend the stay order. Meanwhile, NICTA has extended the deactivation deadline to July the 31st.
Mr. Kremer explained that he will be filing other supporting details to obtain orders to prevent NICTA from further deactivating SIM cards. Now that the SIM deactivation deadline has been extended for 2 more months, Kremer says he will have enough days.
These documents were to be filed yesterday, late afternoon. We had notified the National Court Registry that we intended to file these documentation so they would keep the registry open, to move an urgent application today to seek a further stay, to prevent NICTA from deactivating 1.5 million Papua New Guineans who use mobile phones. And so following the decision yesterday, there was no longer an urgency in the matter for me to file, so then I did not proceed with filing the court proceedings to obtain a further stay.
Yesterday, Communications Minister Sam Basil announced the date of the new deadline of the deactivation date. According to statistics received by NICTA, 1.3 million Digicel customers, 90,000 B-Mobile Vodafone users and 19,000 telecom customers are yet to register their SIM cards.
And I believe that by 31st of July, we will do no further extension, but we will cut SIM, unregistered SIM will be cut as per the instructions from NICTA.
The SIM registration comes after the Cabinet had passed the 2016 NICTA Act in Parliament. Under this Act, all telecommunication companies are required to register their customers through their SIM cards. Failure to do so would cost the mobile company a penalty of 50,000 kina each for all unregistered SIM cards.
Now, this is the time now that we've got 2 months. Let us all work together, especially digital, telecom, and B-mobile. I think there wasn't enough cooperation between the mobile companies and our Council of Churches.
This is the third time NICTA has extended the deadline for the deactivation of SIM cards in Papua New Guinea. The first 2 times was because most mobile phone users did not register. Because the registration process required documents most did not have access to, while the recent extension was because of a temporary stay order obtained at the National Court in Port Moresby to prevent the deactivation.
The second issue that we were going to pursue is a Supreme Court reference on the constitutionality of the regulation, and that is by imposing a SIM registration through a formal ID, when the reality is 90% of Papua New Guineans, actually 98% of Papua New Guineans don't even have a formal ID. So there's the issue of whether this regulation is even constitutional and violates the rights of every citizen. And then there's the other issue of SIM cards belong to those who purchase them. So this issue of that's their SIM card. So now you're imposing a regulation on something they own.
Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industry held a breakfast fundraising event to fund their financial literacy programs. A discussion on women in business beyond APEC was the main agenda. President Avia Koison said PNG WCCI has struggled to be recognized as a chamber, and they now look forward to contributing to APEC SME policy discussions for women.
Small to medium enterprises was the agenda for the PNG Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industry's breakfast fundraiser. Keynote speaker Desmond Yaninin, who is the Chief Executive Officer of NDB Investment, encouraged women to take advantage of APEC exposure and look to exporting their products globally, while ensuring that production of raw materials is done in PNG to increase the value of products sold in the global market. PNG Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industry started in 2013 with a vision to empower, train and strengthen women entrepreneurs, something President Avia says is more important now as PNG hosts APEC this year. PNG Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industry was also a part of the development of the SME policy. President Avia said they will still push for more relaxed taxes for SME to encourage growth. The fundraiser breakfast was supported by Me Bank, NDB, NCSL, Nest Fund and the Department of Youth and Community Development. All funds raised will be put towards financial literacy training. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was in Manila yesterday to hold talks with government authorities of the Republic of Philippines. In a meet with business giants, Mr. O'Neill said the good relationship will extend to create more dialogue in business, people to people, and resource sharing for capacity building. The Prime Minister was accompanied by Finance Minister James Marape, ECP Governor Alan Bird, and other government officials.
The visit hopes to create more trade links between Papua New Guinea government and the Republic of Philippines. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says talks with the business community in Manila are to extend and improve current trade affairs. He says PNG and Philippines share common aspects of trade. He says the visit hopes to bind the two countries together and support each other as countries in the region. Meanwhile, the Philippines business community acknowledges the business relationship, stating areas of improvement in trade will be considered. Later on, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill visited the Rizal Monument at the Rizal Park in the Philippines capital. He then laid a wreath at the Rizal Monument in memory of Jose Rizal, patriot executed on Bogumbaya Field in 1896. Jack Lopava Jr., National MTV News.
Ensuring food security for Papua New Guinea has been given a boost through an arrangement that will see hectares of rice planted and deliver a reduction in the price of rice in the country. Speaking at the end of the official state visit to the Republic of the Philippines, the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says a memorandum of understanding has been signed for extensive rice cultivation. O'Neill said understanding has been reached with the Philippines government to cooperate in the production of rice for the benefit of both countries. Philippines will provide technical advice, private sector investment, and guide farmers to establish rice fields. Rice production trials are already underway, and the first commercial planting is expected to begin next year. PNG telecommunication companies were challenged to support the government in empowering the people through providing affordable services instead of being profit-driven. Deputy Prime Minister Charles Abel made these remarks today during PNG's inaugural Digital Economy Forum in Port Moresby. Among the discussions was PNG's challenges in transforming to a more digital economy.
Internet costs in PNG still remains high, even after the government allowed competition in the telecommunications industry since 2007. As other countries move forward in the technology sphere, internet speed and access also remains very low in PNG.
So vitally important that we move as quickly as possible as a nation to providing cheap electricity and internet to all our people as soon as possible. It will catalyze development, as I said, in so many ways. In terms of communication, the government is building the backbone network comprising of the new international submarine cable from Sydney to Port Moresby and also on to Honiara. This project is part of the 25-point plan and will be funded 75% by the Australian government and 30% by Papua New Guinea.
Today's inaugural Digital Economic Forum commemorates World Telecommunication and Information Society Day. ICT service providers and telecommunication houses displayed their products. For PNG to develop through the use of ICT requires having the right infrastructure first.
I tend to emphasize, in a more general sense, the underlying infrastructure that will benefit the economy and the people as a whole. And that's where I'm tending to place my focus, because whether you talk about the government initiative itself or any other initiative, as I say, you fundamentally need that basic infrastructure in place in the first instance.
Communications Minister Sam Basil says the government has been slowly leading by example in terms of taking steps into digitizing government systems. A number of policies that have been developed includes the National ICT Policy, ICT Task Force and the National Cybersecurity Policy. All these policies are to provide safe, accessible and affordable ICT services.
The national goal for ICT, as stated in PNG Development Strategic Plan 2010 to 2030, is on accessibility and affordability of ICT nationwide. Equally important consideration is given to security and the ICT or the digital literacy. These are important integral components which builds trust and ensure effective use of ICT services in the country.
ICT literacy is also a concern in Papua New Guinea, and as regulator, NICTA has funded a 2.6 million project to start the ICT education process.
Like in the case of, we do admit that computer literacy in PNG is very low, and we need to encourage people to have access to computers and other ICT devices, and that can only create demand.
Stacey Yallo, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Landowners of the Como airfield area give government less than 10 days to respond to their petition for equal benefits. That story and more when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Popular PNG singer Moses Tau passed away last night at the Port Moresby General Hospital. He collapsed last night and was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead on arrival. As the world marks International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia and Biphobia today, Tau will be best remembered for his confidence about his sexuality, which has not stopped him from contributing wholeheartedly to the PNG music industry. Today, Deputy Prime Minister Charles Abel joined many fans in passing the PNG government's condolences to the late singer's family.
I just want to express my sorrow and condolences on behalf of the government to a fine character, someone that stood his ground despite many challenges and provided entertainment and fun to many Papua New Guineans. And having been involved in the music industry myself, I knew Moses quite well. And it is a sad day, and so I just want to express that on behalf of the government to his family and his friends.
9 juveniles were among 38 people who appeared before the Lorengau District Court for damaging properties and stealing and arson charges. Manus Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector David Yapu said the 38 were arrested for 2 different incidents which occurred in 2 different LLGs. In the first incident, 4 suspects from Liap village went to Lapohan village and set fire to a permanent house belonging to a Benson Lian. The suspects also damaged Lian's cash crops and other properties in the village before escaping back to their village. In retaliation, Lian's relatives went to the suspect's village and slaughtered pigs and burnt down some houses as well. Huawei, as the major sponsor for the inaugural 2018 Digital Economic Forum, signed a memorandum of understanding with NICTA to sponsor more females in pursuing IT careers. As part of NICTA's efforts to provide ICT literacy in the country, it has found a common partner with Huawei, who has been also providing scholarships to PNG students to pursue IT careers in China as well. NICTA's effort to increase the IT capacity in the country has seen many females going through tertiary institutions in the country. This MOU will enable more females to go abroad and study in the field of IT. Over 60,000 people in the Jimmy electorate have been cut off from receiving basic services for 2 months. Local MP Wake Goy was not pleased with the people of North Wagi electorate for blocking the only access in and out of Jimmy electorate. The locals blocked the roadshow to show their frustration to the local MP, Fabian Pock, so that they can be compensated after being hit by a heavy flood 2 months ago.
Jimmy MP Wakegoy warned the North Wagi people living alongside the Warramumble and Kaunam Bridge to end the roadblock by this weekend or they will face the law. Goy said there is a serious matter that is being ignored by the leaders. Public services in Jimmy electorate have been affected for 2 months because public servants are unable to travel by road.
Display by lawyer by swim all summons, me plan by saving all by Kamlo court. Now behind law display and me plan by some restraining order. Any problem along this side of the road, one play like block him and by immediately and by me plan arrest him.
The blocking of the North Wagi Road entrance to Jimmy electorate is causing delay in the sealing of the Karab to Col Road. It is also a delay in the upgrading of bridges in Jimmy after they were also hit by a natural disaster. Goy said they can't pay routine visits to the electorate and this act is a blockage to service delivery. He appealed to the North Wagi people to address their grievances to the local MP and the governor.
All sick man in die. Some all mama all deliver now all still have him post delivery complications only cat only no blocam law ausik some all some S3 vexes long all enjoy him mibla gat satana while this live come up and mibla put him some money lo may have now all enjoy him all sick line him balus wogloran na pikim all na all mama all balus ran na pikim na all man I travel in and out. Tas all road accessories all sava nongutru.
Parents of students in Jimmy electorate are running behind time and money to pay their children's school fees. Coffee and peanut bags cannot be transported out for spin-off activities. Goy said he will use the electorate's DSIP to rebuild the Kaunam Bridge in North Wagi so that his people can be able to travel to and fro. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The Council of Public Sector Unions has called on the national government to honour its commitments to public servants right throughout the country. COPSU, through the Public Employees Association, has given the government until the end of June to settle outstanding employer contributions for superannuation. This was announced in Port Moresby today. Today, the Council of Public Sector Unions met in Port Moresby to deliberate on several matters of concern affecting its membership. Among immediate issues, outstanding superannuation employer payments owed to Number One Super, which according to the unions amounts to over 200 million kina, these payments accruing since 2016. According to Public Employees Association President Robert Kotapai, the unions are now united in their stance to demand action from the national government, and the unions have given the government a deadline to settle these payments.
The Council of COPSU resolved to give the government up to the end of June 2018 to pay the 5,300 members the 230 million kina owed to the Number One Super Fund.
For the 230 million, we are demanding by June 30 to be paid. The specific reason is that I think from 2016 up until now, the number of exited public servants stands at 5,474. They have been paid the employee contribution, but not the employer component. And that amounts to 230 million. That's what we are demanding the government to pay by June, end of June.
Furthermore, the unions have reminded the government to honour their commitments in effecting salary increments for public servants. Already, the government has assured them that funding will be made available in this regard, with public servants set to realise a 3% increase in their pay as of next week.
The Council resolved that the government honoured its commitment as promised and to keep to its deadline as per the NSC resolution to pay our public servants on the pay number 12 of 2018.
Which they have allocated 11 million a fortnight now, starting next fortnight for teachers, 11 million a fortnight to mitigate the entire increment. So by the time we complete it, it should be 220 million.
The decision to effect the 3% pay increase was made on the back of constructive dialogue, which according to the unions is the approach they are now taking to resolve other outstanding issues.
We are ready. If the government wants to sit down and talk to us about these issues, how best we can address these issues, our doors are always open. And we are willing to sit down. We want to work as partners in development. So we work in harmony for the development of our good nation.
Whilst the unions say progress has been made in regards to superannuation contributions and salary increments, they are also mindful of the effects of the current taxation regime, more particularly income tax rates, which they say will be an issue they will raise with government.
State liabilities, especially on the Number One Super, the 3% salary increment, and the tax issues. The Council will relay their position to the income tax, their position on the income tax submission are collected from its affiliates.
Sixteen head clans in the Como airfield area of Hela province have given the government and ExxonMobil less than 10 days to respond to their petition. Chairman of umbrella company Mandaki Limited, John Pipija, says Como airfield landowners have been left out with no formal agreements to specify their benefits. The 16 clans signed a 7-page petition this morning to get the government's attention.
Members of the 16 clans met this morning to unite and present their grievances. Two specific points were expressed: government to honor a 70 million kina commitment announced in 2011 and Como airfield to be declared a standalone facility like Papalea.
Bibla lusim buara, bibla lusim firewood, all got the plant kage, bibla sa liblogan. All got the 100 hectares bibla give me all the peninsula government, na company. So probably kamal must look. ExxonMobil must look long this overdue agreement.
Other landowners in the period 1, 7 and Angora have received overwhelming support and benefits since the beginning of the PNG LNG project. For the 16 clans, it has been a hard-fought battle despite hosting the airfield. The only benefit they have been receiving is the 700 kina per hectare to clans as a rental for the airfield.
Rental payment 700 per hectare. It came from where? We don't know. So it should be negotiated.
The 16 clans have waited for nearly 10 years for the state and developer to come forward and explain why they were combined with PDL-8 land owners in Angore. They say a new agreement for Como Airfield must be signed between them, developer ExxonMobil and the state.
We are also calling on the national government, ExxonMobil, that we are not, Como Airfield is not part and parcel of so-called UBSA and LBPSA agreement, so we are not part of Angora PDL-8.
The Como Airfield land owners now stand together and say if the government does not respond, shutting down the airfield remains an option.
Suppose one feedback in Okama blood is 14 days. We have to close down the effort, common international effort.
The 16 clans signed a 7-page petition to make the position.
Of the Bia block of the 16 clans, we block of the now come stop now witness him.
Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
The landowners of Angore in Hela province held a media conference today to put forward a payment petition to the government and developer responsible for the delay of the royalty funds of the gas project. Chairmen from both PDLs on behalf of the people are urging the national government to release the project security funds of 35 million kina to PDLs 8 and 9.
In today's media conference, landowners from 3 different electorates in Hela province, Como Magirima, Taripori and Koroba Lake Kopiago electorates raised concerns as to why the project security funds of 35 million kina as promised by the government have been delayed. The Agore and Juha landowners launched a petition to the government with necessary supporting documents to fast-track the capital owed to the people of the PDLs 8 and 9.
The problem we have here is the government. One time by you come now, deliver him money blong all. I hope ExxonMobil, you stop lo support him, this la ting lo papang ground. By me bo matem, me plan no toko sem, guess him banana go. No, guess him wrong.
Chairman of Juha Landowners Association, Stanley Hoga Piawi, and the people of Juha are hoping the government will grant the appeal before the APEC meeting.
So now I'm asking government, the PDL license has been granted to Juha and 2009 and till about 2017 now. And what is the motive behind this government to deliver? There's no construction, early works done, and license been granted, and government benefiting big time.
He stressed with the recent earthquake earlier this year, landowners are suffering big time, and with minimum support from the government, it is only fair that the project security funds of 35 million kina be given to the people.
We're here to appeal to the government now to honor the commitment, the security payment. One of the part payment you've been done to Hajj, Peter 1 and 7. You got to pay 35 million to Angore, Peter 8, 35 million to Jua, Peter 9.
Landowners of PDLs 8 and 9 are calling on the gas project developer, ExxonMobil, to assist the affected landowners in the province to get the answers from the government regarding the project security funds. Godwin Eki, National MTV News.
Newcrest Mining has joined the fight against domestic violence in the country. The mining giant launched an anti-violence and behavior change campaign with the brand name Truplaman Truplameri. The campaign seeks to empower its employees to build a healthy workplace, safe home and community all over the country.
At this small but significant ceremony hosted by Newcrest Lihir at Kunaya Airport, just a few kilometers outside of Lihir Township, marks the launch of the Truplaman Truplameri campaign. The campaign, launched on Tuesday night, focuses mainly on changing attitudes and behaviors by encouraging open and constructive conversation, respect, safety and security and trust amongst the mine employees.
If you put that together...
Newcrest Lihir General Manager Greg Judson, who initially founded the campaign back in 2014, says he hopes the message that they are intending to pass through this campaign goes beyond the mine sites.
If I look at one of the reasons that we started this program, it's evolved into an anti-violence program and a domestic violence program, but it really is about stopping violence. And it doesn't matter where the violence is and where the anger is and where the issues really are. It's about addressing the root causes. There are plenty.
Newcrest Lihir employs about 5,000 workers from different professions. The company has come to a realization that by tapping into its human resource is one avenue that can help change the way of life of many Papua New Guineans.
When you live here in PNG, when do you actually stand up and say enough is enough? And we are not going to tolerate behaviour according to current culture, customs, behaviours, whether it's driven by a whole range of social pressures, alcohol or whatever the issue is.
But that is not all. PNG Air has put its hand up to partner with Newcrest as the carrier of their brand logo, hoping that the messages on anti-violence and behavior change reaches the length and breadth of the country. And so far, the brand logo has been mounted on 7 of their fleets.
To be involved in this program just complements what we are trying to do.
In recent years, Papua New Guinea has been plagued with social issues that centered around domestic violence within small family units. The mining giant says the Trupla Man Trupla Mary campaign is their contribution towards addressing this issue by changing how men and women should think and act. Newcrest says it wants to help break the cycle of violence by preventing it before it starts. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News.
Here with Thursday's news, we go for a break now and we'll be back with more on the other side of these messages. Don't go away. A case against the National Housing Corporation in Leh has been struck out when the NHC failed to show records for alleged arrears. The family's records show that the arrears they had were less than what the NHC had stated. Community Chairman Filimo Nagepu said this shows that the NHC has no records of their own in place.
In February this year, the Oxups were summoned to appear in the Leh District Court over alleged rental areas owed to the National Housing Corporation.
Mani kami awan plaman walking chat lo ausenia tibini kam. Gam da sol true mino kamasem kami molman oligatol piginini ol meritu sirasalos lakar no lekam.
Christina Oxup's husband, prior Oxup Hinave, was a public servant who moved into this property in 1986. His rentals of 23 kina were deducted from his pay. His son Matthew says his father was never given a new agreement to sign regarding an increase in rentals.
So he was paying all that through the works and supply. They were doing deductions fortnightly.
In August last year, the Oxups were given a letter by the NHC, signed by former regional manager Joe Bulage. It stated that the family had more than 73,000 kina worth of arrears to pay, an amount they claim accumulated from 2010 to 2017.
When we did our own calculation according to the rate that he was paying that time, the actual amount that we should have owed them is around just over 4,000 kina.
The case was dismissed by the district court in favor of the Oxups.
That we have sufficient evidence to show that the 23 kina was paid, and we also have the payslip showing the deductions, the 23 kina fortnightly deductions. Whilst they don't have the proper documentation to show that actually we owe them 73,000 kina.
The family's tender application for the property was approved by the Lands Board in 2015. They are in the process of obtaining their land title. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
Member for Tewai CSE Kobe Bomareo said a court case that was filed against him by former Tewai CSE MP Mao Zeming in August last year has disturbed the district's operations. The former MP lodged an election petition seeking to review the decision of the Electoral Commission on the declaration dates in the general election. It was refused by the court registry as it was filed a day late. The National Court's decision was made on November 2017 in favor of Mr. Bomareo. Zeming appealed to the Supreme Court early this year. The court found that there were no arguable case and the decision was in favor of the current MP.
The prolonged case has jeopardized, have disturbed me from running the electorate, because people are also having suspicious mind whether that they were all forced from us that this case will go through and I might lose the battle, but I have to assure my people that there's no issue with this. And I would like to take this time to appeal, to give confidence to my people and also to my former MP that let the case alone to be addressed and let's serve the people. It is the people, a paramount interest that we are working for, we stood for. Unless someone in the process has own interest, then you might pursue. Otherwise, it's clear, crystal clean. 18 was the date of declaration, and court has came through, gave its decision, we stand by it, and I would ask my people that I'm ready to work with you.
Here with Thursday's news, we go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with Rugby League, and the Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League has announced the Kumul's international playing calendar for this year. The Kumuls will be playing 4 test matches. They play their first test match next month in Australia.
The Kumuls will play their first match on the 23rd of June in Sydney, Australia. They take on the Fiji Batis in the annual Pacific Test.
So that's between on Saturday 16th June. The team may be announced. I'll leave it to coach later on, but generally the game will be played on 23rd of June in Sydney. That's the first Kumuls program.
The Pacific Test will be the only match played away from Papua New Guinea. The Kumul's second match will be the Prime Minister's 13th clash on the 6th of October at the Oil Search National Football Stadium. Slight changes have been made, with the game to be played a week after the NRL Grand Final rather than a week before the final. Another change is the PM's 13th match will now become a sanctioned match and will now be called the Prime Minister's 13th Test.
So those are two things that we've been able to achieve in the last 12 months. So we will have the best of our team, our Kumuls, available to play against the Australian visiting team, Kangaroos, for the Prime Minister's Stadium. The curtain raiser for the game will be our own very own Oil Search kids, and we're thankful to have the Australian Gilarus come in for the second time, and that will be a second test played in PNG against our kids. Sorry.
A week after the PM's 13, on the 13th of October, we'll have the emerging Kumuls take on the New South Wales Country Under-23 team. A curtain raiser match will be played between an Australian Defence Force women's team and a selected Confederate women's side. The final matches will see the Kumuls play the England Knights in a 2-game series. The first of the 2-game series will see the Kumuls and Knights go head-to-head in Lae on the 27th of October and the second in Port Moresby on the 3rd of November at the NFS.
The England Knights is the England's emerging team. They're the ones who are knocking on the England Test team, in preparation for the World Cup. They'll be doing a tour, serious tour to PNG. We'll just sign an MOU with them. So this is important because I think when we see the history of the game, it's been a long time since any rugby league playing nation has done a serious tour of our country.
Selection of players will be done by Coach Michael Marum and his coaching staff. Marum says they have a pool of players to pick from, but depending on their performance, they will be named in the Kumuls team for the different test matches.
We can't drop our game. The standards we've set is really high, and we need our best players for those competitions. We can't give it to any player leading, playing lower competitions. They need to be playing in NRL Super League, Inter Super Cup, New South Wales 2 cups a year. Okay, we've done it in the past, 2016, yes. 17, 18. So and we've been really successful too. So.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
To football now, and with all the controversial washout matches done and dusted, the National Soccer League is likely to stage its semi-finals this weekend. The competition's frontrunners, Toti City FC and FC Morbe Wawens, are first through the semis, along with best PNG United and defending champions Medang FC.
Toti City has so far proven to be the only team in the competition to have completed the 2018 season undefeated. With 10 wins and 2 draws, the Peter Gunamba coach side cruised through this Sunday's semi-final as the outright favourites to clinch their 3rd piece of silverware. With just 1 game shy of making their 4th appearance in the NSL Grand Final, Toti City will face a side who's no stranger in finals football. Madang has been City's main rivals in the last 3 years. Madang has never been short of talent in their side, with a mix of both young and experienced players controlling the centre field, with the likes of Emmanuel Aram and Michael Foster leading the charge. Meanwhile, this season's second-best FC Morobe Wowens will open the semi-finals matchup against an unpredictable Besta PNG United. Besta's unpredictable style and speed in attack has been an integral part of the team's game throughout this season. Wowens, on the other hand, have all the reason to finish 2nd place on the points ladder. Their calm and calculated precision football, capped off with their ability to control the tempo of the game, could spell trouble for Besta. The semi-final opening fixture is at 12:30 p.m, while the second semi-final match is at 3 p.m. this Sunday at the Sir Ignatius Kilagi Stadium in Leh. The winners proceed to the grand final next weekend on May 26th, while the losers play the 3rd and 4th place. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Don't go anywhere. Trukai Sports continues with more after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Stanton Albert has left the Widnes Vikings in the English Super League and has returned to the country. He returned due to personal reasons and will now join the SP PNG Hunters team.
Stanton Albert is back, and Stanton's, I think, been written last couple of days. Stanton's here. He had on his personal reasons has come back, and so he will join the Hunters training. Our coach has given me the okay to say that. So yeah, Stanton starts training today with the Hunters.
We hope to get him on a playing field next week. That's our senior. We want him to get out there. He just maybe bit cold for him down there, so he decided to come back, leave his brother there. So, but he's in. We allowed him to get 2 days off, and he joined the boys at training this morning at the gym. Did a video, so he's okay. He's excited. He's coming back to the team, and yeah. But we'll see how he goes. In his fitness test today, he passed the medical. We've done his clearance, release from the club. They get that. He's registered with the team for this year, so he's enter in 2018 again. So.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break now. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, fine weather expected in Popondetta, a shower or 2 for Daru, some showers expected in Kerama and Alota, showers and thunderstorms expected in Port Moresby. To the Momase region, mostly fine for Leh, some cloudy weather expected in Wau, mostly fine as well for Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine all across the region in the major centers of Lorengau, Kavia, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabik can expect fine weather over the next 24 hours with morning fog.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And before we go, a recap of our top stories this evening. Kumul Telikom Chairman explains reasons for consolidation. Women in business look at post-APEC 2018 potential, and telecommunication companies urge to support government. And that's how it is this Thursday, the 17th of May 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.